Hi, welcome to Josettes Sharing Memory page and recipes. I'm going to go through bunches of stuff that I want my family to know that they may not know, and a lot of recipes including egg mornay that I'm continuously asked for the recipe. A lot of memes recipes, a lot of memories, and maybe a few pictures intertwined in there. The date is July 10th, 2016. I live in Danville, Pennsylvania. And it all started when Meme and Grandpa decided to have a baby girl. The baby girl weighed 8 pounds 5 ounces, and I was born in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Meme and Grandpa were married in Texas, and Meme always wanted to go back to the West and said how she loved it there. This is going to be a short video because being my first one, I'm not sure how it's going to go. But I'm going to continuously update with more videos. I'm going to talk a little bit, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to cook. But I'm not going to lead you through the process of cooking. I'm going to pause the video, cook it, and then show you the finished product. It's that simple. Today we're going to make pasta and peas. It's an old Depression recipe from the Italians. Very simple to make, and made with ingredients that they only had on hand to feed their big families. My dad was born in Brooklyn, New York. My mom was born in Le Havre, France. They met in World War II when he was stationed in France. He brought her back to the States. Then we went to live in Turkey, Istanbul to be exact. Helen was born in Turkey. Just a tidbit also, Meme got a breast milk fever and was sick for many, many months, so they had to order evaporated milk to feed Helen. I returned to the States when I was about 4. I remember coming to the States and starting kindergarten. When I moved to the States, I only spoke French, English, and Turkish, which I have soon forgotten, except for English, obviously. I remember in kindergarten and first grade, I had no idea what they were talking about, what was expected of me. But when I was in first grade, I remember telling myself I better wise up or I'd never make it. We lived in Philadelphia until Grandpa came home. Your grandpa, my dad, came home from the Korean War. He was there for 16 months. During those 16 months, Meme had Francine at Valley Forge Hospital in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I don't know how she did it. She became a citizen. She learned how to drive. She lived virtually hundreds of miles away from my dad's family, and her friends would continuously come checking on her. Me, Helen, and Francine had a slow, sad life waiting for my dad. Again, I don't know how my mom did it, but she was the typical army wife and learned how to cope and touched base a lot of times with her friends. From Philadelphia, let me back up. When my dad came home from Korea, I remembered him, but I was very quiet because we were shy, not having seen him for almost 2 years. He saw his new baby girlfriend saying, Helen ran away. She wouldn't even come to see him. She was that scared. We then moved to Rochester, New York. Rented an old, huge mansion-type house. Spooky attics, creepy doorways to nowhere. Stayed there until we bought a house in another part of Rochester, New York. We lived there about 3 years and then moved to another house in New York after we sold that one. my grandmother, Meme's mother, came over on the boat to New York Harbor. My dad picked her up. She stayed with us 6 months. And that's when I got to know her, not very well because she didn't really speak English. I remember coming home from school for lunch because we lived right across the street, and she would cook crêpe Suzette for me and Helen and Fran, but Fran was too little. And I remember when the door to the kitchen would open, she was flipping the crepes way up in the air to flip them. And I did teach Cameron how to do this, and he's excellent at crepes and flipping crepes. I'm going to pause now and then show you what's going to be in our meal, and maybe talk to you a little bit after that, just some little memories.